The cafe was half empty that rainy afternoon, the soft hum of jazz blending with the rhythmic patter of raindrops against the windows. Amelia sat in her usual corner, sketching people who passed by. Her uniform was still wrinkled from the long shift she'd just finished, but she didn't mind. Drawing calmed her. A quiet escape from bills, double shifts, and the loneliness of a one-room apartment. She was halfway through shading a coffee cup when the door opened, and a man stepped in. He didn't look like he belonged there. His black suit was too sharp for the cozy cafe, his shoes gleamed even in the dim light. He carried no umbrella, just an air of quiet control, like someone who'd long ago stopped asking permission for anything. His eyes, gray, unreadable, swept across the room until they found her. Amelia froze when he started walking toward her table. "Mind if I sit here?" His voice was calm, low, commanding without trying. She blinked, confused. "It's free, I guess." He nodded and sat, removing his wet coat with practiced movements. There was something about him that drew attention, an intensity, maybe, or the way he seemed completely out of place yet entirely comfortable. The barista brought him a coffee without being asked. Clearly, he was a regular somewhere, even if not here. "You work here," he said after a moment, glancing at her uniform. "Yeah," she said slowly. "I do. Why?" He studied her face for a few seconds before answering, "Because I need a favor." Amelia frowned, half amused. "A favor? From a waitress you just met?" He reached into his wallet, pulled out 5 crisp $100 bills, and placed them on the table between them. "Here's $500, he said evenly. "Will you pretend to be my date for a day?" The pencil slipped from her hand and rolled onto the floor. "You're joking, right?" "I'm not." Amelia looked at the money, then at him. His tone was serious, his expression even more so. No trace of humor, no hint of flirtation. Just calm determination. "Why me?" she asked finally. He hesitated, then leaned back slightly. "Because you don't know who I am." That made her more confused. "And that's a good thing." "For me, yes." His eyes softened a little. "I'm tired of people who know my name before they know me." She studied him more carefully. Strong jawline, polished watch, posture that screamed authority. And now that she looked closer, she recognized him from somewhere, a business magazine, maybe. "Wait," she murmured, narrowing her eyes. "You're Nathan Hale, the CEO of Hale Enterprises," he finished for her, tone flat. "Yes. But right now, I'm just a man asking for your time." Amelia blinked, trying to process it. "And what exactly do you need a fake date for? Is this some kind of publicity stunt?" He shook his head. "My ex-fiancé is getting engaged tomorrow. Our families are both attending the event. My board insists I show up. Alone would be inconvenient." He paused. "I just need someone believable. Someone real." She stared at him. "And $500 makes that believable." "It makes it simple," he said quietly. Amelia almost laughed at the absurdity of it. She had bills stacked on her counter, her landlord's texts unanswered, her brother's school fees overdue. And now a billionaire was offering her enough money to breathe for a month, for one night of pretending. Still, something about it felt wrong. "What if I mess up? I'm not an actress. Just be yourself," he said. "That's all I want." She hesitated, eyes flicking between the money and his face. He didn't look like a man who often asked for help. He looked lonely. A kind of quiet, aching loneliness she knew all too well. "Okay," she said finally. "But I have rules. No weird touching. No lying about my life, and if anything feels off, I'm leaving." He smiled faintly, almost relieved. "Deal." They sat there for the next hour, sketching out a story, how they met, how long they'd been dating. Nathan's tone was businesslike, but occasionally, when he smiled or listened, she caught glimpses of someone softer beneath the armor. He insisted on sending a car for her, told her what color to wear, something simple, something you feel comfortable in, and left just as suddenly as he had arrived. When he was gone, Amelia sat in silence, staring at the empty space across from her. The money felt heavy in her pocket. She couldn't decide if she'd just made a smart decision or a terrible one. The next evening, the promised black car arrived. She wore a navy blue dress, borrowed from her neighbor, and the oldest pair of heels she owned. Nathan stepped out to open the door for her, his expression unreadable but softer somehow. "You look beautiful," he said quietly. She smiled, a little awkward. "You clean up well yourself." At the event, the chandeliers shimmered and the air buzzed with laughter and champagne. The room stilled when Nathan entered, Amelia at his side. He guided her with a gentle hand at her back, his touch careful, protective. For a moment, she forgot it was all fake. His ex-fiancée appeared soon after, elegant, cold, her diamond ring catching the light. When she saw them, her smile faltered just enough to reveal surprise. "Who's this?" she asked smoothly. Nathan smiled with perfect composure. "This is Amelia, my girlfriend." The word hit Amelia like a spark. Strange, warm, unfamiliar. She forced a polite smile, but inside, her heart raced. They mingled, laughed, danced once under the low lights. Every time she looked up, Nathan was watching her, not like she was an act, but like she was something real. Later, on the balcony, she finally said, "You don't owe me this much money for pretending. You could have brought anyone." He shook his head. "I didn't want anyone else." The rain had stopped, leaving the city glittering under the night sky. They stood in silence for a while, neither wanting to break it. And when he finally walked her to the car, his voice was soft. "Thank you, Amelia," he said. "You were perfect." She smiled faintly. "So were you." He hesitated, then asked quietly, "Can I see you again?" Her answer came after a heartbeat. "You don't have to pay me for that." He smiled then. Truly smiled. And for the first time, it didn't feel like pretending at all. The rain had been falling since morning, thin and relentless, washing the city into shades of gray. Amelia sat in her corner booth of the café, her apron still tied around her waist. Her shift had ended an hour ago, but she didn't feel like going home to her cold little apartment. She was sketching in her notebook, half listening to the hum of conversation, the hiss of the espresso machine. Then the door opened, and everything seemed to still for a moment. He walked in, tall, well-built, his dark hair damp from the rain. The kind of man who didn't belong in a small cafe where coffee was served in chipped mugs. His long coat was perfectly cut, his movements precise. He looked around, and for some reason, his gaze found her. Before she could look away, he was already walking toward her table. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked. His voice was deep, controlled, yet something in it sounded tired. She blinked. "It's a free country." He sat down, removed his coat, and signaled for a coffee. His hands were steady, but his eyes betrayed something, restlessness, or maybe regret. For a few long moments, they sat in silence, listening to the soft patter of rain. "You work here," he said finally, glancing at her apron. "Yeah," she said slowly. "Why?" He hesitated, then leaned forward slightly. "Because I need your help." Amelia frowned. "My help?" Without answering, he took out his wallet, pulled out 5 crisp $100 bills, and placed them neatly on the table between them. "Here's $500, he said calmly. "Will you pretend to be my date for a day?" Her eyes widened. "What?" He didn't flinch. "I'm serious." Amelia looked at the money, then back at him. "You're joking. Or crazy?" "Neither." She let out a nervous laugh. "Why me?" He leaned back in his chair, eyes unreadable. "Because you don't know who I am. And that's exactly what I need right now." That was when she realized. She had seen him before. On magazine covers, in business articles that her boss kept on the cafe counter. Nathan Hale, CEO of Hale Enterprises. The youngest billionaire in the city. You're him, she murmured. The businessman everyone writes about. He smiled faintly, without pride. That's me. So why would someone like you need an ordinary date? He interrupted softly. Because tomorrow, my ex-fiancée is getting engaged. I'm expected to attend the party. Alone. He stared at the window for a moment. I'd rather not be the topic of pity and gossip. So, I thought, why not hire someone genuine? Amelia looked at him, then at the money again. Rent was overdue. Her brother needed money for school. Her cupboards were nearly empty. Yet something about this offer felt surreal, like stepping into someone else's life. And all I have to do is pretend for one day. He nodded. Just one day. She exhaled, weighing the choice. Fine, she said at last. But I have conditions. No lies about who I am, no touching, and if I want to leave, I leave. His lips curved into a faint, genuine smile. Deal. They spent the next hour at that corner table, planning, rehearsing, laughing once or twice. He was precise and careful, but there was warmth in his tone when he spoke about details. When he left, he said quietly, "Thank you, Amelia. I mean that." When the door closed behind him, she stared at the rain, wondering what kind of man needed to pay for company, and why she already felt sorry for him. The next evening, a black car waited for her outside her apartment. Amelia wore a borrowed navy dress, her hands trembling slightly as she stepped into the car. Nathan was there, dressed impeccably as always. But his expression softened when he saw her. "You look beautiful," he said quietly. She smiled awkwardly. "Don't sound so surprised." At the hotel ballroom, chandeliers glittered and laughter filled the air. Nathan walked with calm authority, Amelia beside him, trying not to trip in her heels. All eyes turned their way, the mysterious CEO and the unknown woman at his side. Nathan leaned close and whispered, "Just smile. You're doing great." When they reached his ex-fiancée, the woman's perfect face stiffened for a fraction of a second. "Nathan," she said sweetly. "You didn't tell us you were bringing someone." He smiled politely. "This is Amelia, my girlfriend." The word sent an unexpected warmth through her. She smiled, playing her part, though her heart beat too fast. Nathan's hand rested gently on her back, not possessive, protective. Throughout the evening, he stayed close. They talked, they danced once. Every time he looked at her, there was something in his gaze that wasn't part of the act. She saw the loneliness behind his composed exterior, the way his shoulders eased when she laughed. Later, they slipped out to the balcony. The city stretched below them, 1,000 lights shimmering like stars. "You did well," Amelia said softly. "You proved whatever you needed to." He looked at her, his expression unreadable. "It wasn't about proving anything. It was about remembering that I could still feel human for a while." The way he said it broke something inside her. They stood there in silence, the night air cold around them. When he finally spoke again, his voice was gentler. "You made tonight bearable," he said. "Thank you." When he dropped her home, neither wanted the evening to end. She smiled, already reaching for the door handle, when he asked, "Can I see you again?" She paused. "You don't have to pay me for that." He smiled for real then, and something in her chest tightened. "Good," he said. "Because this time, I wouldn't want to." The car pulled away, and she stood there under the streetlight, watching the taillights fade. She'd walked into a stranger's story for one night, but somehow, it had already begun to feel like her own. That night, sleep didn't come easily. She kept replaying his quiet smile, the warmth in his eyes. What had started as a transaction now lingered in her thoughts like a secret she couldn't shake off. Somewhere between the rain and the city lights, pretending had stopped feeling like pretending at all.